Now let's look again at the opened heart to know about other important structures inside the heart, such as cardiac valves. Here you can see the white flap-like structures inside the heart that are continuously opening and closing. They are called cardiac valves. Let's look at them in detail. The cardiac valves are made of cusps that are actually flaps of endothelium that are reinforced by cores of connective tissue. Valves are located on each end of the ventricles, and they basically act as one-way inlets of blood on one side of the ventricle and one-way outlets of blood on another side of the ventricle. First, let's view these valves anteriorly. The cardiac valves are 4 in number. Among them, 2 are categorized under AV valves, and 2 are semilunar valves. AV valves are atrioventricular valves, and as the name suggests, they are located between the atria and the ventricles of the heart. These AV valves prevent backflow or regurgitation of blood from the ventricles to the atria when the ventricles contract. The valve present between the left atrium and left ventricle is called left AV valve or mitral valve. It is made up of 2 cusps, and so is also known as bicuspid valve. Bi for 2. While the valve present between the right atrium and right ventricle is called the right AV valve and is composed of 3 flaps or cusps, so is also called as tricuspid valve. Tri for 3. Well, here is an easy trick to remember these AV valves. As the right lung has 3 lobes, and so the right AV valve is tricuspid with 3 cusps, whereas the left lung has 2 lobes, and so the left AV valve has 2 cusps and is bicuspid. The cusps of the AV valves are attached to strong fibers called chordae tendineae, which originate from small papillary muscles that project inward from the respective ventricle walls. When this valve closes, the papillary muscles pull on the chordae tendineae to prevent the cusps from swinging back into the atrium. Another category of the cardiac valve is the semilunar valves. They are also 2 in number, and they are present at the exit of each ventricle, where one is the pulmonary valve, which is located at the base of the pulmonary trunk, that allows the blood to leave the right ventricle, preventing backward flow into the ventricular chamber. And the other one is aortic valve, which is located at the base of the aorta. This valve opens to allow blood to leave the left ventricle during contraction and flow into the ascending aorta. The pulmonary and aortic valves have half-moon shaped, and that's why they are referred to as semilunar valves, where semi is for half and lunar is for the moon. And both these valves are also tricuspid valves, as they have 3 cusps. Let's take a further close look at these valves from a superior view, when atria and great vessels are removed. Here we can see both atrioventricular valves, bicuspid or mitral or left AV valve with anterior cusp, and a posterior cusp, and a tricuspid right AV valve with an anterior cusp, septal cusp, that is near the septum, and a posterior cusp. Then we can see both semilunar valves, a pulmonary valve with a right cusp, left cusp, and anterior cusp, and aortic valve with left cusp, right cusp, and a posterior cusp. These valves open and close according to the need. During ventricular contraction and relaxation, which are termed as ventricular systole and ventricular diastole respectively. As here in the image on the right side, you can see that both AV valves are closed, but both semilunar valves are opened. This state usually exists during ventricular systole or contraction of ventricles, or during emptying of ventricles. Then in the image on the left side, you can see that both AV valves are opened, but both semilunar valves are closed. This state exists during ventricular diastole or relaxation of ventricles, or during ventricles filling. So this was all about cardiac valves. But before going further, here's another important thing to discuss. We know that a human body has a bony skeleton that provides a supportive framework to the body. A similar skeleton is also present in the heart, which provides structural support to the heart. That fibrous skeleton of the heart is also known as the cardiac skeleton. The cardiac skeleton is formed by dense fibrous connective tissues that are arranged in the form of rings. So basically, this cardiac skeleton consists of 4 fibrous rings of connective tissues. Fibrous ring of pulmonary valve, fibrous ring of aortic valve, right fibrous annulus, and left fibrous annulus. All these rings provide mechanical stability, electrical insulation, and an attachment point for the cardiac muscles and valve cusps. Here we can also see right fibrous trigone. That together with fibrous annuli separate the atria from the ventricles. So till now, we are done with the surfaces of the heart, the chambers of the heart, the great vessels, the cardiac valves, and the cardiac skeleton.
Explore our extensive library of over 1,800 video lectures to learn about a wide range of topics. Only on sqadia.com.